So how have you been managing the team during lockdown?
Yeah, I think the first thing during the lockdown is probably communication. Like the good leaders out there are communicating like readily and just with really accurate information. I know at the start, with the government, there are a few sort of mix-ups about, what you could or couldn't do, and then there was a whole lot of unraveling. And to their credit, they've had to do a hell of a lot in a short space of time. But I think the key is picking your times to communicate with enough information that the team can actually run with it and understand what's going on. Everyone's wanting to know, is their job safe? What's the situation with the government subsidy? What can I do? What can't I do? What does stage 4 mean? What does stage 3 mean? Etc. So I think just communicating often with the right content has been really critical. What about yourself, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting challenge for us because obviously there's so much content, from every outlet or organisation or board or advisory group. So definitely, especially from the side of like leading the team, is making sure that the information that I'm giving to them is correct and actually what is being decided on rather than hearsay. So I always think this might happen or this could happen. We've definitely done a good job of just waiting until we've heard the actual rules. So, I know we're doing this and we've just been told what level 2 could look like, but we have no certainty around anything at the moment. So rather than speculating, we've definitely sort of encouraged the team just to wait, hold fire. And when I come to them, go, hey, look, these are the rules around viewings, around auctions, around settlements, trying to provide some clarity from over information. Is that sort of what you found as well?
Yeah, totally. I think it's funny because you and I are sort of got similar managerial styles, lead from the front and, coming from both sales backgrounds, being on the front line. I think the hardest is probably having to show restraint. Like you've taught your guys and girls to, take a full information pack out to the viewing with you because, you want to have a leave behind document. And right now, we've been told we can't be leaving anything behind. Everything's electronic. There's no face-to-face anymore. It's almost a backwards way of everything that we've taught our teams. So I think that's probably been the biggest challenge, has been trying to unravel, those old school ways of doing business and teaching them that it's a new way and it's the right way for now, but it's not necessarily the right way forever. And so just roll with the punches for now and be ready to sort of pivot as these alert levels shift too.
And did you have to change it a lot, like implement new technologies, or was it stuff you already had, or, like in terms of say leaving behind that information, was it easy to change? Because obviously, you've got a similar business. We've got, obviously both younger teams. Was this sort of change in that relatively easy, or did you need to implement new technologies, ideas, or like how did you guys find that?
Yeah, good question. I think we there's obviously Slack and Microsoft Teams, and I was speaking to my lawyer at one point, and he's like, what we do is everyone logs in or checks in like it's like a normal business day, and they say when they've got spare capacity and like when they're breaking for lunch, and so you're trying to sort of get the accountability happening as a manager. But I found that trying to implement too much of that new technology, it was kind of frivolous. Like it was just noise. Like the team just aren't going to sort of pick up stuff like that and run with it just because it's it's a new platform. They want to see value out of it. I mean, the only thing that we've actually kept has been Zoom. Everything else has just been scrapped. I mean, they're just like, look, it's so much admin me telling you what I'm doing and what I'm having for breakfast. There's got to be that trust factor. And I think more than ever right now, you and I have probably learned a lot about our teams, and you do have to take the leap of faith with them all, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's interesting where I think because we've had more time, you've always got your guys at the front, in your sales team, who just always got a comment and always got something to contribute. I've also found it quite good to give the guys who don't have the loudest voice in our team like an opportunity to speak. And I guess when you're doing a lot of this kind of, Zoom meetings and Google Hangouts, you can sort of, you've got a bit more time and you can sort of, hear from the people you always hear from, but then throw it to someone else and go to them for that information. I think, people, I don't know, for us anyway, they've really appreciated that extra bit of time to slow down and contribute, and to hear their voice and not just be filtered through from always the same people who we always hear from. So yeah, it's definitely some interesting learnings through that.
I think, yeah, you're right. The big keyword there is time, right? I mean, all of a sudden we're finding ourselves having a whole lot more free time right now, even just to commute. For most people, it's half an hour to an hour each way, and all of a sudden that's time available. So it's, for me, I think trying to just instill confidence in the team to try and keep as much of them like their normal lives happening as possible. Get into a normal working time frame, get used to doing the same tasks. I mean, it's still business as per usual in terms of what you have to do to transact real estate. You've just got to try and find different forums to do it. I did find that at different time frames, like at alert level 4, the message to the team and what I was trying to do as a leader was you tell them how to communicate and communicate consistently, so that as far as James Group was concerned, we had one voice, and whoever you spoke to, we all had the same message, a story to tell. And like at alert level 4, it wasn't about pushing yourselves out there and saying, hey, who's a distressed vendor wants to sell? It's just checking out, hey, how's it going? And like, if anything, getting around the memes and stuff, and just enjoying, like you find actually what you've got hidden under the bed, for example, and stuff like that. That's alert level 4. And then as people are starting to come to terms with, the financial hardship, and don't get me wrong, most businesses, including ours, have definitely taken a massive hit, but it's kind of like, control what you can control. And in this instance, empathizing with what everyone else is going through. And then I think now, being a salesperson at heart, man, you can relate to this. It's been eternal optimism. It's about showing people that there is, life after this lockdown, and it's just a sort of look more in the big scale of things. So it's up to us to pump up the market. Yeah,
100%. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've definitely had that big change where, you sort of had that social responsibility, especially if we dropped down the levels, and it's really sort of working out, how important are we in the middle of that transaction. And like you said, level 4, when we were fully locked down, we just sort of just told our guys, look, just hold fire. We're not the most important thing at the moment going on. There's people who are a lot more, healthcare workers and the frontline staff. That's super important. We just need to sit back. And I think that's hard. I mean, you've been doing it like for me for 10 years, and it's first time ever that, it's just stopped. Like we had a record March, and then April was just like dead, So I definitely, it has been interesting to see how we managed that, that moral compass of when to start stepping in. And obviously as we're getting down to level 2 and level 1 hopefully soon, to then ramp that back up again. And now where people do need us, people do want to come and speak to us, they want to reach out, guiding the sales team around that. And like you said, sort of reaching out and being available to talk to them, and the narrative that we're keeping up, and being the energy in the marketplace that people can come and talk to us, I think has been massively important. I just, like obviously you've dressed up a lot better than I did today, but in terms of like the etiquette around the communication virtually, because I know your team, like ours, like we're a very social bunch, like, we're always doing fun things, and the social side of it in terms of the team and the culture. What sort of are some things or some tips for other people who are managers and directors to help with that side of things, that keeping the professionalism, but also that culture and that social interaction that all salespeople look for?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think because with salespeople, we're on par with used car salespeople as far as, like social stereotypes go. And I think people are very wary of that. And so for us, I think, like you said, that first thing was just to turn the taps off, basically just put the business to sleep for a bit there, and just how many emails did you get in your inbox as a business owner that said, hey, yeah, we're still operating, we're operating from home? It's like, well, no shit. No one actually cares about what you're doing as a business, like, or that you're compliant. Hey, we're washing our hands, everyone. Like, give us a pat on the back. Like, no one cares. Like, just don't do that. So what I've been trying to teach the team is like come up with content that people are gonna be able to relate to, and this has nothing to do with real estate. Like one of our guys, he made the Ellen Show over the lockdown because he, on his TikTok, he managed to hit a tennis ball over his house from one side to the other, and then catch it. And like as he's jumping into a swimming pool. And
did he have the James Group logos like in the background, or did he not get a pay rise?
Sort of got on like some T-shirt, or sort of got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
His highlight of the week, he said, was Usain Bolt liked to hit that particular post, and I think that the message there was we wanted to show people that we're Kiwis too, and that we like having a bit of a muck around, and it's even though there's been a lot of financial hardship, a lot of tears, a lot of sleepless nights. It's not, there's no point dwelling on any of that. So the message to my team and other business owners is remember what your job is, and the reason why you started your business is because you wanted to make a difference in the sector that you're operating in. And so it just reminded yourselves that it is up to us to band together and actually kickstart this economy back into life. And we've got to do that, as a collective. We can't do it in ones and twos. Even different companies in the same industry, you're all allies right now, and we have to band together more than ever. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's been that it's hard, isn't it? You've got to sort of connect that social side of your business and the culture along with that performance. And like the performance will never outdo your leadership. So you have to drive that social side of things to make sure people are there, but then they also want to come to you for the answers and for the guidance, because just as those guys are having fun, they're also worried, and they're also going, oh, what's going to happen? And they do look to you, for your leadership. And I guess it's been important, and I think our team's embraced this extremely well, is that we can have some fun and we can be professional. And especially when we've been in this lockdown and we've had a lot of distance between us socially, it's been important to do that. And even just simple things for me, when we've had maybe some, Friday social drinks or something like that, I'll be wearing a hoodie and just being a bit more chill. But then when we've come to do something which is important, like I've got to deliver some COVID updates or some, new compliance stuff we have to do, it's just wearing a jacket. And just those slight things where, I've really felt like you only have to be at your best when your best is needed. So I can be a normal person. I can have fun with my team, but then it's like, hey, no, this is really important. Then I'm the leader again, and I got to step back into that path. And I think that it's a testament, especially in things that you think, but I think it's a testament to our team and our culture and the environment they've worked on previously over the pre-COVID, that we can come in and we can have fun with each other, but then we can also deliver the results that the clients are expecting. And the agents can come and turn to me and say, hey, I've got a problem. I've got an issue with this. I'm trying to do this deal. And they're still coming to you for your leadership, but they can still have a beer with you on a Friday too. And like being younger, you sort of go in ebbs and flows with the team and the culture. But I think having the virtual distance has really stress tested both of those things. So, for me, like putting on jackets and just being a bit more there has definitely helped. Have you found the same? Like, have you sort of managed to, like, what are you doing when guys are coming to you in 1 minute, they're, hitting tennis balls on the Allen show, and then the next thing you're like, hey man, I've actually got a bit of an issue. Like, have you had that come through, and how have you dealt with that?
We've well said on that leadership. Huge amount of respect for you in that regard. I think that's absolutely right. Just a small subtlety with how you set the scene, can dictate the whole outcome of what you're trying to deliver. So I think that's a really good piece of advice. But I think with the team, as most managers or leaders will find, is that a lot of the team come to you with problems all the time, but they haven't given it enough consideration on their own. And I think when they're behind closed doors, it's teaching them, or it's certainly teaching my team, to problem solve a lot more. And if you're not really available, obviously when you're in the same office, they just come in and just bang your door down, and they get what they want when they need it, which is great from a productivity perspective. But I think from their own personal development, I think they're selling themselves short. Whereas now, if you don't answer your phone or you're otherwise engaged on a Zoom meeting or whatever, they're going to have more time trying to unravel that Rubik's Cube themselves. So I think there's a natural sort of transitional empowerment happening with them, where they're actually having to think for themselves. And the big challenge for me is going to be trying to retain that sort of thinking moving forward, where you actually do have more time on your hands.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, what, this enforced shutdown, like what are some key things that, or challenges that, you think, the improvements that you can take forward? And we mentioned time. Obviously, clients have a lot more time to talk to us, but that's all gonna, it's wishful thinking to think that in 6 months they're gonna have the same amount of time. Like that's gonna change. People are gonna, life's gonna become busy again. So, what are some of those key things, as a leader, that you've identified that you're like, man, I want to keep those going, post-COVID?
I think what I did during the start of the lockdown was I sat down and because we realised there was a minimum of 4 weeks, we had. And for most businesses, that's like hitting a timeout in a game of sport, and you actually got time to, make a winning play to win the game, or actually just pause and reassess where you're at and hit the reset button sometimes. So at the very start, I sat down and thought, right, what's something that I can do, or what I want to actually get out of this crisis? And well, one thing I did was I surrounded myself with good a life coach. Sridhar Krishnamurti, he was actually a speaker at last year's YIPA conference. He and I did quality work together, and I applied through ATEEDS to get a voucher as a business owner for some Ice House business mentoring as well. And so for those businesses based in Auckland, there's that voucher is available. I think it's at least 2,000 they've available that were up to 5,000 at the start, and you can use that for various things. It could be like HR training or financial management or business planning or mentoring. So I got that support, and my mentor said to me, he said, Blair, there's one piece of advice I can give you, it's don't waste a good crisis. And it took me a while to actually understand what that meant. But I mean, there's two types of people out there. There's those that are just sitting on their hands, probably spending so much time worrying, and it's a bit of a wait and see approach. And there's those that are actually proactively making change. They're working on their back end, their databases, they're cleaning out their files, their systems. They're starting to, get ready for war once they, get the jurisdiction to hit the battlegrounds again. But I think that's been the key thing for me, is now coming out the other side, is what I've learned is just, it's being present, like with everything you do, like you and I run really hard on a day-to-day basis. You've got a kid as well and a family to support. And when you're present, you actually experience life at a whole different level. Like for me, it was always 3 monitors, looking at that one, someone's the phone's lighting up there, and I actually wasn't present with any of them. It meant that I was giving half-assed advice, or I was always distracted. They didn't feel valued. And now, anytime I'm doing anything, I'm doing one task at a time, and I'm executing it, and I'm moving on.
It's like, I literally just wrote that down. I was like, what's the winning play? Like, make a winning play, and it's so true, isn't it? And I'm like, I can echo that. It's, running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then just being told to stop and slow down. It's the first one I've slowed down in 10 years, and it's, I have to echo those thoughts. It's like just trying to be dialed in and be present. And I went to a conference with Gilbert Anoka, the mindset coach with the All Blacks, and he was talking about presence and saying that that's one of the key drivers of people who are super successful, and people want to come in and talk to them, and then they're working on other projects. And like you said, maybe when your team hasn't researched or read the email, and they're coming to you with pretty basic questions, and you're giving a half answer there and a half answer there, and you're concentrating half there. And that's definitely, I know for me, it has been a big wake-up call that, maybe I should just work on them at work, and then just come home, and then maybe just kick back for half an hour or an hour and just do something else, And I mean, so many funny things, like I vacuumed for the first time, mate, in like 6 or 7 years. I'd steal the vacuum cleaner from the office. I mean, these are just things that you just, they're not, I've always just worked so hard and then just outsourced that stuff. And then actually when you're slowing down and you actually mow your lawn for the first time in 10 years, like I actually do really enjoy this, and it's sort of just slow down. And so I hope, that I can definitely bring those things, bring it. I know that it's not, I'm not wired that way. Like still some of the, I'm not going to take up vacuum cleaning full time, but I definitely wanted to slow down and appreciate some of those things. And, credit to people who have got kids, especially young ones. Like my boy's only 15 months, and he's just walking into everything, and it's just super crazy, and he's full energy and that kind of stuff. And it's been awesome to be there and actually be present with him, slow down and read a book with him and that kind of stuff. And I think some of those simple things that, and know that you'll be the same, you're maybe doing something and your mind's racing 1,000,000 miles about something else. And I to sort of have that flow or that consistency that's been forced upon us during lockdown is definitely, been a massive positive. So hopefully we can do that going forward, I guess.
100%. A crisis. This is taught us so much about ourselves and what's important, right? I mean, the next challenge for you, I'm not sure if you've thought about it with your team, is trying to work out how do you sort of retain or protect what you've learned over this crisis, and consistently sort of practice what you preach, in the new look marketplace. Because the concern that I think and sentiment that I share with a lot of people is that it's going to be short-lived, and everyone's going to slip back into their bad habits or their old ways of doing things. How to sort of protect that moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, there's so many different things that we've had to implement or get used to very quickly. I mean, virtual meetings and catch-ups is one of them, and I think that we will cherry pick a few things, and I'm a big believer in just going for like just we'll pick one or two and then stick with that, rather than trying to do have 10 of the latest ideas and that kind of thing. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the whole marketplace, as salespeople, as people involved in transacting property, how the consumer, because not only from our point of view, it's also the point of view from the consumer. The consumer's changed a little bit. They've been forced to become easy with video messages and virtual contracts, etc. So I think we will provide a little bit of that going forward. But I'm also on the fence, and I had maybe it's a bit controversial, but with all the virtual viewings and that kind of stuff, I still believe we are an integral part of the transaction. And, no one is going to, I know like in our gig for Resi, no one's going to buy a house unless they see it. And yes, we've been provided solutions previously because we couldn't do viewings, we weren't allowed. And even now, currently, we only do 2 a day and all the rest of it. But I think we do need to be careful that some of those things, like we had that technology available before and we didn't implement it then because of some reasons, e.g., like no one's going to buy a house without seeing it. So I think we do need to get a good new middle ground and making sure that we're not taking, like we can take some of the positives and then we need to adjust them for what the current marketplace and what offerings we've got available, e.g. Public viewings, etc. I know that's different for you guys being in commercial, like you're used to doing the one-on-ones and that kind of stuff. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that sort of whole virtual, going fully virtual and just, removing yourself fully?
I was actually really enjoying your sell there for the real estate agent and the importance of the real estate agent in the marketplace. That was outstanding. That was all I was zeroing in on.
You can do my referral program later. Yeah.
I'm going to keep that snippet. That's absolute gold dust. But, I think segue slightly is more like just I've told my team to stay away from the media propaganda. I stopped reading the paper now, and I mean, apart from those 1 p.m. updates with Jacinda or Dr. Bloomfield, I'm pretty much checked out of that and decided that I'm in control of my own destiny here, and it's up to us to reconstruct the market how we want it to perform. I mean, it depends on what you read. It's gonna most of it's just doom and gloom out there, or dare I say, use that R word of the the recession, and it's all nonsense at the end of the day. Like there's still plenty of money in the marketplace. People are itching to get going again. The main thing is Kiwis are supporting local businesses again, which is awesome. And so for us in the commercial world, we're sort of boxing on as per normal, but we're not sort of being naive to the fact that the market's going to look different. So like that word you talked about, virtual, I had an experience with a team where we went on a virtual reality office platform, and everyone created avatars, and they're walking around someone's office, and they can walk into different rooms, and you can have private chats, and it was awesome. But at the same time, coming back to your point, there's still no substitute for a face-to-face interaction. Or some good old-fashioned closing, or pitching and sitting around someone's living room and admiring their home, or having a cup of tea with them. And I think those relationships, are where the strong businesses prevail in challenging market conditions. I think that's the 101 of real estate right now.
Yeah, 100%. And you talked about how you've been, you had a business mentor, and you went to, got some funding for some specialists. Like, you hear a lot of people cutting back on marketing, on advertising, and self-improvement. You've obviously, gone the other way and pushed forward with that. Why have you made those decisions to do that?
Yeah, good question. The first thing we did as a business owner, and you would have done the same thing, is you'd have looked at your balance sheet and your cash flows, and you'd have just stripped out the pantry, mate. You're taking everything out you don't need, and just try to run it as lean as possible. That's sort of day one or day two, if not week one of the lockdown. That's all been taken care of. And then you start to look at the business, you look at your people, you look at what everyone's doing, and you work out, okay, well, you've still got to spend money to earn money. at the end of the day. And for us, it was more just picking channels that were going to be the most relevant. I think for us, it's still signage. It's still the online platforms more so than ever, TradeMe, realestate.co.nz, your own website. And the social media platforms is probably one we need to tap into more, because you're going to get a way bigger reach organically right now than you ever have before. And it's really cost effective, per click. And so I figured that, well, the first thing you got to invest in, and this goes to everyone, not just business owners, the first thing you got to invest in is yourself, right? And so I thought, right, well, I want to get my head and mindset right so that I learn a lot about myself during this, and I come out of this lockdown a different person. And so one of the things I'm actually going to ask my team members is, hey, do you actually want to be in this business moving forward? Have you thought about what your life looks like, what matters to you, and what you want to achieve, in your time? And I don't actually think many people have actually thought about that. And when you got a lot of time to think, you can get a bit deep and a bit heavy quickly. But I think that's really important to do that. And then if you are sort of all in and pot committed, like I am with real estate, property is my passion. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, then you may as well throw some money at it. And if you're spending money, then other people are going to receive that money. It's going to help stimulate their business, and that's what kickstarts an economy. So, if we all sit on our wallets, then nothing's going to. And, we're all going to be in the same lockdown environment, or we are going to be in a serious recession a hell of a lot longer than if everyone actually gets out there, grows a set and actually starts jump-starting the economy again.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's interesting because you have to, especially being at the head of the business, you have to do it yourself first. Like if you're not in the right space, if you're not constantly improving for yourself, then how can how can other people look up to you and follow you or come to you when you're not in the right headspace? And, again, couldn't agree more. The first couple of, as soon as we got that notice, it's like battle stations, boom, strip stuff out. And then it's just, okay, reassess where we're up to. And then looking at those things. And I mean, we've done things, we've just implemented like 4 or 5 projects that we've just really gone hard and gone forward with some of those things and spent money, it's not actually that, it's just the investment, it's investment and I could even tell from those suppliers, our designers and our content writers and that kind of stuff, they actually really appreciated that, and they've actually had a lot of time to sit down, more time to sit down and listen to what we want and work together. And I think that if you're doing that, more as a team and more collab together, you're starting to really get the whole cycle running again. And people will, not only team members, but, your vendors and stuff will come to you because they are seeing you push forward and creating momentum in your business. And, it is lots of different things, and you got to navigate through those. But I think if you look after yourself first and you've got a good team around you, then they'll come in and support you. And, I guess, that was sort of the next thing I had done here is, what about those sort of key people behind you? Like, who have you sort of, had those people sort of stepped up? Like, how have you found, your other management team or your support staff, have they rallied behind you and got behind it and pulled up your socks and got it done? Or have you sort of found that over the last couple of weeks?
I think the hardest thing is, and I think it's something that I did get right a lot of the time, not always, but I'm very self-aware as a person, always have been. And I think, as a business owner, there's a lot of stuff that you don't want your team to see, not because it's confidential as such, but because it's not their job, or it's not their problem most of the time. We're basically full-time firefighters, putting out fires every day, and we're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes. And so the hardest conversations, when you get wage subsidies and stuff, and you're asking people, to voluntarily put their hand up and reduce their hours. As a whole, right across the board, my team, they a few of them kicked up a fuss, and fair enough. I can't. It's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but what I have admired is they have all just put their heads down and got on with the job at hand, and they've realised that a job right now is worth its weight in gold, and if they with the good times, then they also have to be prepared to roll with the punches when things do get a bit challenging.
And do you think that it's like underappreciated how hard those decisions are for you? Do you like, this is real talk now? Do you think they appreciate how hard that decision is for you?
I think I think by the end of this lockdown, they've seen, as a leader, how much I'm communicating, the hours that you're putting in. Like, what I try and do is I try and check in with a couple of team members every day, and just say, hey, how's it going? And just like no time frame, or it's not like I'm doing it in between two Zoom meetings, or I'm always sounding like I'm got to get off the phone. It's like, hey, I'm here for you, and I just want to check in and see what's been happening. What have you been cooking at home? What have you been doing in your spare time? Have you exercising? What are you finding out there in the market? And just checking in with them. And I think they've really appreciated that. And by the end of it, now they've realised that a hell of a lot more goes into the back end than they realise. And I think if anything, they probably have grown in respect of what we actually do. And likewise with them, I mean, I've got so much gratitude for what they've done for me and the team. And like our property management for example, is a tiny division compared to our agency in terms of the revenue. But that division has rallied. It's supported tenants and landlords far better than I could have asked. And they've all done it on reduced hours, and they've done it with a smile as well. And so I think looking to the good times ahead, which there will be again, I'm going to remember that. And those are people that I'm going to want to put on my team sheet, when the good times roll as well. So I think it's there's always a few people that do struggle in a crisis, and we've definitely seen some cabin feverish, antics or environments, or some people have snapped, and but most of them have come back cap in hand at the end of it and just said, hey, look, that was my bad. I had a really rough day or whatever. But as a whole, I think it helps reveal a lot of character. Have you found the same?
Yeah, like loyalty's definitely been the key word there. So it's like your how, and it has been a knee-jerk reaction, we've had to make decisions on the fly, and then they've been tough calls, but it's the loyalty that's been shown. And I guess that's something I'm super proud of my team, is that they have just rolled with the punches, and even if I think, hey, it's a little bit rough or whatever, they've still come back to, we appreciate that it is a little bit tough. And even if it's not verbalized, it's still just shown in small actions, maybe a late night text or something like that, or an email coming in later, or someone's checking in, see how you're going, and those sort of things. And as though it's been a challenge for the team, it's also, like you said, it's been reflective, and sort of seeing people come in and go, we are here, like we are going to smash it out. And it is hard when you're in the front and you're just pushing hard. You want to make sure we all good, and then you're like, yeah, we're sweet, and then it sort of continues on, and it gives you that confidence. And I think as we're dropping down these levels and we're looking to expand and go bigger and recruit and get more people on the team, those are the things and the stories that we need to showcase more. Like we all, everyone's the best salesperson you've ever met before. Everyone's got the best office. Everyone's the best leader. Like we've heard that a million times before, but what about showcasing some of those stories or some of those achievements that have actually been done? Because I feel like a lot of the time, it's not like we're hiding them. It's just that we're too busy to really celebrate those. And I think that, on reflection, we do need to remind ourselves and think about that. And like you said, on your team sheet, those people who are sticking around and are working hard, when those good times come and opportunities come up in the future, you go, yeah, I appreciate what you did during that time. And, make no doubt about it, this COVID, it will be a defining moment in our careers. You are going to talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID business ownership, sales, marketplace trends. It's going to be a big line in the sand. And I mean, I'm super excited about it. It's so much opportunities are going to come from it. So yeah, it's been just such a good vibe, and it makes me proud to be a business owner. It makes me proud of my team, and it's pretty tough. You don't sort of say that enough, I guess. And I've just really enjoyed it. And I don't know, what about you? Are you excited to be out the other side once it's all over and we stop talking about COVID?
No, I think that's awesome. I think it's a good note to finish on as well. It's just like what you said about, and we've talked probably positivity, 90% of this catch up, and I think it's important to make note that I don't know your personal position, and you don't know mine in that regard, but I know that you'll have a truckload of overheads, and there's financial commitments that you'll be responsible for, regardless of whether your doors are open or not. And I think people are quick to judge salespeople and think that they just put the start out there and it's just sunshines and rainbows. But when you actually dig deeper and you get to know people, you realise that they're actually just like you are, and these key old school, ways of living, and just checking in with people. I mean, I've got to know my neighbours finally. I throw over a bag of flour or something if they need that. Obviously, wipe down and sanitise it, of course. But you get to know people's names, and there's a local security guard in our neighbourhood that is sort of the neighbourhood watch officer, and we catch up with him every day and just see how he's getting on, and he brings our puppy treats, and I wouldn't have ever acknowledged that person back when you're running a million miles an hour, because you're just running too hard to sort of stop and smell the roses along the way. So there's all these cliche sayings and stuff like that you hear every day, and then everyone thinks, they put a post up on the social media platforms because they think that sort of defines them, or it says a lot about them, but they're probably doing it for the click content or the likes or whatever. But if we actually look back at a lot of those and we actually peel back the layers of what they mean, most of us have probably been living by those same values and virtues throughout this lockdown. And that's going to be the key thing to retain. Kiwis are underdogs. We love being the underdogs, and we're little old New Zealand on the far side of the arse end of the world. And, here we are poised with Australia to, mount one of the strongest economic comebacks post this level 2 restriction. And, like you, that excites me as well. So I think coming back to that point about people just saying, these are a bunch of young hotshots that are putting on these facades in the Zoom meeting. I think it's important people understand that we're hurting too, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on what lies ahead and what we can do for each other, our communities, and our team members out the other side of this as well.